Good day, I'm Lisa Rowe and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, November 22, 2023. The Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ, says the country's economy grew by 1.9% for the July to September quarter of this year. Director General Dr. Wayne Henry gave the update at the PIOJ's quarterly meeting yesterday. He says the outturn for the period reflects higher levels of employment, increased capacity utilization in the mining and quarrying industry, and continued growth in tourism. The goods-producing industry grew by an estimated 2.3% due to improved performances in manufacturing, mining, and quarrying.
Alumina production increased by 136.6% due to an expansion in the alumina capacity utilization rate to 42.4%, up 24.5 percentage points. This was driven by increased capacity utilization at the Windalco and Jamalco refineries, as operations gradually returned to normalcy following technical issues that constrained production at Windalco, as well as Jamalco's ramping up of capacity since its reopening at limited capacity in the corresponding period of 2022.
Dr. Henry, however, points out that there was a 9% contraction in the agriculture, forestry, and fishing sector caused by the adverse impact of drought conditions.
Below normal levels of rainfall throughout the quarter resulted in lower yields and a reduction in hectares reaped. The industry's performance was reflected in declines recorded for other agricultural crops, which contracted by 11.8%. Lower production was recorded for 8 of the 9 crop groups.
On a more positive note, animal farming increased by 1.4% and egg production by 11.8%. A preliminary figure of $409 million has been estimated for damage to the country's infrastructure from the impact of Tropical Cyclone 22 on the weekend. Prime Minister Andrew Holness gave the update in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. He says the figure was provided by the National Works Agency, NWA, which has reported 69 roadways being badly impacted by landslides, mud flow, and fallen trees.
We have had damage estimates before which have been far more significant than this, so we are very grateful that though there was damage, it was not of a very significant extent.
Mr. Holness says the 3 days of rainfall could be classified as a test of our infrastructure, with recently built highways and roadways withstanding the weather. However, following a helicopter tour of affected areas, the Prime Minister indicates that having assessed the rivers in St. Thomas, the need is evident for a massive river training in the parish.
The rivers there are not well defined in terms of their boundaries, their embankments. And so if there is a heavy shower of rain and significant volume of water, they tend to overrun and spill over on the plains, which is, in a sense, what makes those lands fertile and arable. But when we are building alongside rivers and we are building in the river parts and we are building in floodplains, then, Madam Speaker, we will have to make the investments in ensuring that we control the flow of the rivers.
He says $700 million has been identified to undertake the river training program in the next financial year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has announced a $1.4 billion constituency-based mitigation and cleaning program. This will see $22 million being assigned to each constituency. The money is to do minor civil and sanitation works.
The program will implement targeted interventions with the following key priority rankings: the reopening of blocked roads, cleaning of critical drains, which have now been heavily silted, patching of main thoroughfares, which have been scarred, construction of new structures such as retaining walls, river training, small river training if you can do that.
Giving a breakdown of the $22 million spent per constituency, Mr. Holness says $10 million will go towards road rehabilitation, $6 million to debushing activities, and $3 million each for drain cleaning and garbage collection. The program is being managed by the National Works Agency and the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA.
All agency fees will be covered by the project funds, ensuring that no fees are deducted from the constituency allocation. I have directed the NAA to collaborate with all relevant entities, including municipal corporations, to conclude detailed designs and final estimates for any substantial repairs, particularly to roads that may come as a result of this project. I anticipate that work will begin as early as possible and continue into the festive season.
Members of Parliament are also receiving funds to offer support in the form of minor repairs to houses that were affected by the recent rainfall. Approximately 100 persons within each constituency are set to benefit from a $330 million housing assistance program. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says Cabinet has already approved the allocation of $5 million to each constituency.
The idea behind this is to target those households that are vulnerable to weather, particularly leaking roofs or compromised wooden structures, to assist with the replacement of zinc sheets that are compromised, windows or ply sidings that have been compromised.
In addition, the Prime Minister says 3 constituencies that were severely impacted by Tropical Cyclone 22 will be allocated an additional $3 million. These are East Rural St. Andrew and East and West St. Thomas. The Ministry of Housing will carry out the program. And finally, the government has announced a temporary reduction in fares on the Jamaica Urban Transit Company JUTC buses. The process will be done in 2 phases in 2024. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark made the announcement in the House of Representatives Tuesday.
Effective January 1st, 2024, the reduction in the regular fare from $100 to $70, and a reduction in the fare for children from $30 to $25, and for pensioners from $40 to $30. Effective April 1st of 2024, a further reduction in the regular fare from $70 to $50, and in the fare for children from $25 to $20, and the fare for pensioners, it would go down from $30 to $25.
Dr. Clark says the fare reduction comes as the government is mindful of the impact of the 16% increase granted to private operators of public passenger vehicles on the cost of living. According to the Finance Minister, this will support the Bank of Jamaica in its efforts to return and keep inflation within the 4 to 6% range. The central government will provide the JUTC with resources to finance the temporary reductions in its revenue from bus fares. The temporary reduction is projected to last up to 24 months or 2 years. After this, the fares will be adjusted upwards and returned to existing levels.
It is expected that for the period January to March of this fiscal year, this measure will cost approximately $200 million. And for the full year, April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2025, the cost would be $800 million.
Hand in hand with this measure, the JUTC's capacity is expected to increase by 300 new buses over the next 3 years. The first 100 are to arrive in the island during the next fiscal year. In addition, the Ministries of Finance and Transport are working together to advance the Boosting the Capacity of State-Owned Bus Enterprises project. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thanks for watching.